gonna leave me, aren't you? Everyone I care about leaves me! Oh, goody.
Hey yo, what's goody everybody? It's your boy deVii from deViianceTV. Welcome to another episode of Poptopics, where I talk about the latest news in the entertainment world from pop culture, movies and TV shows, celebrity news, and other topics that pique my interest. This episode is going to be a very special episode for me because I'm in the spaces of both these topics. And I one day plan on blending both worlds in one, and if I ever get the opportunity to, but that is really all in perfect timing and all in perfect communication and a good lawyer. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode. The animation industry is currently in a ton of shambles. From the lack of original stories being told, the ever-growing popularity of continuations of existing IP, and so much other tomfoolery. I've been an avid fan of animation ever since I was a kid, and it's always been something that's piqued my interest when it comes to things like JJ the Jet Plane, Thomas and Friends, Little Bear, Care Bear, Strawberry Shortcake, even movies like Finding Nemo, Shrek, Coraline, and as I grew older, getting into shows like Digimon, Pokemon, Avatar The Last Airbender, The Legend of Korra, so many others. I'm someone that is currently trying to pursue my dreams of working in animation, and while I don't really have the means or time to do so right now, I'm still trying to learn the gist of everything when it comes to making an animated show, behind the scenes work of an animated show, and being a showrunner / pitcher, writing, world building, all of the lore, and the many characters when it comes to creating an animated show, and even being the artist behind my own characters. So I'm the guy with many talents, the wearer of many hats, and so on. The industry looks very bleak at this time because after the current events and news of Disney's cash cow, Pixar wanting to solely focus on stories that are all audience related. So really you can think of stuff like Toy Story, Cars, anything that palm people can see themselves in or don't really care about the personalized stories of, indigenous, POC, Black, Latin, anything of that sort. And it's kind of sad, to think about because I do understand from one perspective of why it's happening, but I like to play devil's advocate because there's always three truths to every situation. There are such things as genuine POC stories, but they are very, very rare to come by nowadays. And there are instances where diversity can be very forced simply for diversity's sake, and simply because of rectifying the actions of whatever they have done in the past, it starts to really show that they really don't care, and instead they're just trying to do it simply because they know that it'll make money. But now that the current world of the political sphere and the social climate is really shifting gears, it's like Disney is starting to kind of wane their favor, and they're going back to a more, I would say, more moderate spin on how they view the American public, and probably before long it will end up looking like that one infamous movie that came out way back in the past that we don't really talk about. Disney likes to walk a fine line of not trying to provoke both sides while continuing to provoke everybody by not saying the true, heartfelt meaning of what their company means. But sadly, the dark and very insensitive past of Disney is not something that can be hidden, so as they try healing their previous endeavors, they just further run themselves into a pit of steaming turds. And speaking of, from the way Netflix and HBO Max have destroyed their own projects, many animated movies and shows have been canceled due to people wanting tax write-offs and just not having any faith in a lot of these projects. Animation is not an industry that is well respected at all. And this is especially true when you realize it's not even treated as a medium in voting categories at award shows. Even the unnecessary live-action remakes of beloved media, which is honestly all Disney's fault, mind you, has helped in furthering the disrespect of animation. I, however, am a very toony dude. I tune out all the time. I'm a very whimsical, very wacky, very chaotic person, once you really get to know me outside of my very hard, cold exterior shell. So when I say that animation needs and deserves respect, I absolutely mean it. Which is why I'm very excited for a lot of indie animation, because truthfully, I think that it's time that indie animation takes the forefront. Indie creators have always been the backbone to continuing the arts of all artistic mediums, from music to writers that are not within like some type of publishing deal, and even indie creators like indie animators and animation. The ability to have creative control of your ownership in your IP as a means of freedom to make the stories that you want to see yourselves in is honestly the biggest reason as to why I would personally love to focus on gearing my channel and my artistry into a more indie path. And I would love to see my stories be able to make people feel inspired to do the same thing, as a lot of indie projects have really inspired me. And I'm going to now name some indie projects that actually really do deserve a lot more support than what they've been getting. Here are some indie animated shows I'm excited to see fully developed. The rest will be linked down below in my bio, so that way you guys can support and stay up to date for all these projects. The Amazing Digital Circus is a very, very huge phenomenon right now on all over the social media and YouTube. It's an indie animated series available on YouTube that follows a group of humans trapped inside a virtual reality circus game, where they are troubled by the rogue ringmaster Kane, an artificial intelligence that sends them on misadventures as they cope with their own personal traumas. Boxtown is an indie animated noir buddy comedy about a con man detective who teams up with an innocent, true crime obsessed orphan with a hidden murderous side. Farfetched is an indie animated series following a rock band of misfits called Sesamoid. An overly anxious girl named Rue and her chaotic canine creature try to survive the town of Valeport, becoming tangled in the world of science and odds with monsters and the supernatural. Everland is an animated series that takes place in the land of Everland, following Lydia, an optimistic teenage girl who follows and meets a Ilamagan. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce that.
Dyslexia.
But we'll just say Ilamagan, named Vel, and a bird-like creature named Ollie. Though Everland isn't without its dangers, Lydia must face not only the unknown truths of within this world, but also within herself. Quartz Quest. It's an animated indie project following the two best friends, Lyra and Snowbelly, as they travel across the world in search of exciting adventures. It's very similar to that of like a Pokemon type of episode, mixed with like almost like a Steven Universe type of character design for the Lyra character. Episode 3 is soon to come, but you can definitely watch this show on YouTube right now. Pretty. Pretty is an animated short film that takes place in Savannah, Georgia. Jay sticks out for all the wrong reasons. He's the main character. He is dark-skinned, quiet, and skinny, and he likes to wear flowers in his hair. The opposite of his masculine, charismatic older brother, Jacob. Their differences peak at the community pool until Jay befriends a charming boy named Justin. This is such a cute indie animated project, and I cannot wait to see it fully developed. There is currently an animatic that's available online to watch. I believe it's here on YouTube, but if not, I'll try to find it and link it down below. The Lovers is an indie animated film thriller that follows Sarah Lim Balon, a reluctant seafood chef in Binondo, Manila. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Don't get me wrong, creator. I don't know how to pronounce that. Sarah faces the daunting pressure to live up to her late father's reputation and keep the business afloat. When the governor's inauguration dinner is planned at the restaurant featuring a siren as the centerpiece, Sarah finds herself drawn into a dangerous affair with the mythical creature. This actually kind of reminds me a lot of the current and new blossoming pop star Chaperone's music video. I'll link that down below as well. But it follows like a similar type of plot line of a girl falling in love with a mermaid siren type of creature. I definitely cannot wait to see what The Lovers is going to look like. If it hasn't already released, I haven't actually checked to see if it is. But if it is, I'll link it down below. However though, Animation has always prevailed, and it always will. Just as art continues to bring joy to many and inspire many, let's continue having these conversations so that Western animation doesn't get forgotten or overlooked. Now, let's move on to the next topic of this video.
Who's that world-renowned famous mouse? He's an arcade mouse in your house.
Nah, I'm not feeling it.
Chuck E. Cheese's is going through a huge overhaul. The franchise has been around as early as 1977 in San Jose, California. Created by Nolan Bushnell, who was also the founder of Atari, the company was originally named Chuck E. Cheese's Pizza Time Theater, where kids could play some of the most relevant arcade games of that decade while eating, in my personal opinion, the best handcrafted pizza and be entertained by an animatronic band of anthropomorphic animal characters, as well as a comedic Italian chef named Pasquale. Over the years, Chuck E. Cheese's has gone through an array of changes, with many retired animatronic characters, many iterations of looks for the main 5 bandmates, and one of the latest changes is the removal of nearly all animatronic characters. In place of this, the new remodels all feature nothing but just a dance floor and small TVs. I honestly hate this new remodel because it feels so less. I hate it. I hate it so much. I think I can speak for many millennials and older Gen Z fans that the removal of the animatronics was such an awful idea. It's like you're removing the exact essence of what made the company known and become recognized. With this new remodel, it just looks nothing but just like a regular, everyday family arcade place like Alley Cats, Dave & Buster's, Main Event, Peter Piper's Pizza, and any of your local pizzeria places that have arcade games. Even a CC's Pizza, if you really think about it. The animatronics were like the closest thing that brought you that feeling of going to Disney World. I mean, aside from the fact that like, the ball pits would be full of like a lot of pee and just a whole bunch of dirty stink kids.
No.
I'm not exactly sure if I want to share this information. I mean, hey, if somebody wants to actually pitch the idea, they can. I mean, if somebody wants to steal my idea, you can. I don't really even know if I'm going to get to the point of even making it. But I have been developing a series based on Chucky and his friends with a few of my own original characters for like the past, I want to say 10 years now. I'm 23 and it's really been going on since like I was like the age of 13. The biggest reason why I got inspired for this is from a very niche and very unpopular but slightly known animated series of Ronald McDonald. Yeah, the clown character from McDonald's. There was a show or a mini series or whatever called The Wacky Adventures of Ronald McDonald. And it featured all of the Ronald McDonald crew members and characters and stuff in a fantasy world where Ronald and his dog Sunday will go on misadventures with Grimace, the Hamburglar, the Fry Kids, the Nuggets, and even Birdie. I got inspired by wanting to like see an actual animated version of Chuck E. Cheese because of that show, as well as the very, very niche movie called Chuck E. Cheese in the Galaxy 5000. Which is probably one of the best animated animes ever. Like, Corey in the House has nothing on Chuck E. Cheese in the Galaxy 5000.
Corey in the house. I'm your man.
Period. I would say that my series would be more of like a fantasy adventure with comedy, music, and even some action mixed in there. That's kind of how I would really perfectly describe my show, or like my idea for a Chuck E. Cheese type of show, but with like some fantastical elements in there as well, like with fantasy and stuff, and some of my characters that I'm kind of working on developing and like something else potentially, because I'm not exactly sure if I'd even be able to get into the legalities and very, very, very long drawn out parts of copyrights and trademarking and ownership and all that. And I also don't really want to have a lot of creative oversight for my project when it comes to my Chuck E. Cheese project, which is partially the biggest reason as to why it's like I've been developing a plan B for it with my own OC character called Corey the Kieran. He's kind of like the mascot for my deViianceTV brand and everything like that. So that's kind of like really like who I would center the series around. But I've even thought about trying to center the series around a character that's kind of like Chucky, but not fully. I'll probably give him more of like a more chinchilla type of look. I'm still kind of working on like the basis of where I would get the inspiration and what I would name that character, but for now we're just going to say Corey will be the main character of the series. And a lot of my own original characters and OCs and other stuff like that, they would kind of be placed within that fantasy world, mixed in with like a little bit of like a reality type of aspect, like within the human world as well. But that's just a plan B, you know. However, though, when it comes to the Ronald McDonald series, I did actually draw a version of the Chuck E. Cheese characters in that same art style, which I find to be so embarrassing. But we will disregard that and just focus on the current look for the characters that I updated like 3 years ago. Now, something that I feel like would be so cool if they did bring back the animatronics would be if they were to make them more lifelike and more realistic. Similar to the Imagineers Disney animatronic, I would say that when it comes to the Imagineer type of animatronics, I would say they could make the animatronics look more like Studio C Chucky, with like some more advanced movements that match their personalities. Similar to like what the Rockafire Explosion was, except without Aaron Fetchter, of course. Because that man is a lot.
No tea, no shade. All tea, all shade.
But I did like his development and the character and the specific movements of a lot of the characters for his, you know, Rockafire Explosion band for Showbiz Pizza. I really just hope that in the future, CEC Entertainment gets things straightened out so that the Chuck E. Cheese franchise can continue to live on. Because if not, it will just become another long-lost relic of my childhood. It's kind of sad to really think about because there are so many things that I grew up with that no longer have that same lasting effect or that same feeling anymore. From the dark horrors that everything has gone on with like kids television shows, to shows being canceled or ending, and toy stores like Toys R Us no longer exist, and even Chuck E. Cheese's, they're trying to focus on making like some type of a game show, which I think is honestly quite stupid. And they're even thinking of trying to expand the franchise into like water parks for like California Dreamin', and just a lot of just unnecessary decisions when they can just really just focus on trying to further improve on the animatronics and make CEC a more recognizable brand again. Besides only ever hearing about people getting into fights at Chuck E. Cheese's, that's really all that you ever hear about them. But I guess that just really further pushes me more into wanting to push my artistry so that one day I can inspire young people that are just like me, and to be able to tell the stories that they want to tell and to create the things that they want to create. I remember I even wanted to one day open up a Chuck E. Cheese's, but I feel like what would be a lot better is if I would maybe make an animated show based on Chuck E. Cheese and his friends. But that really all depends on if I would ever get the right licensing and everything that, you know, is legal about that. Because kind of the reason why I don't really even think I would really be that interested in it anymore. And I'm more interested in just trying to further develop like my fantasy world with the characters that I created outside of Chuck E. Cheese and his friends. But you never know. We'll see. But that's all for today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave your thoughts down below for any topics you'd like for me to talk about. Be sure to catch me in cyberspace wherever I am down below in the description. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to stay up to date whenever I post, because at this point, it's going to always be very sporadic. Thanks for watching, and see you guys later. Catch you on the flip side. Bye, guys.